Welcome to the weekend, everybody. I'm Nick Petriccioni here at the Pig Trail Studios for a daily live update. Today is Friday, the 14th. If you're watching this after it's all recorded, we got to finally sit down this afternoon, late this morning, with new Arkansas assistant coach, Keith Smart. Obviously, a three-time former NBA head coach, joining the Arkansas Razorback staff, reuniting with Eric Musselman. They coached together at the Golden State Warriors in 2003 to 2004. Smart played for Musselman. They've known each other since the 80s, more than 30 years. So it's a really cool kind of connection that they're bringing in, and that's what kind of Muss has done with the last couple of coaches. Gus Arginal coaches. Excuse me, I can't even talk today. I don't know why, right? Call it Friday, right? We're almost at the end of the work week. Got a couple more hours Central Time until we hit 5. And if you're watching at a different time zone, hopefully you're out of work and enjoying your weekend. It's really sunny and nice here in Fayetteville. Susan, welcome in. Barry, how you doing, Barry? Thank you for joining us. But we're gonna hear from Smart for the first time. He sat down with media today, had a little press conference via Zoom. So I clipped a couple of sound bites that we'll listen to. There's something that's just, it was really cool to listen to. What a humble guy, even through his experiences being in a finals, NBA finals in 2014. You're going to hear a soundbite from Smart of just how humble he is. Does not take that coaching experience in the NBA like he's better than anybody else. Says he wants to be a student of the game. So we have a lot to talk about, but this is the guy we're going to be focusing on today. Obviously, we got some baseball too, but this is Keith Smart back in his days with the Sacramento Kings, a head coach for them as well. Curtis, how you doing? Dwayne, thank you so much for joining us once again. Good afternoon to you too. And one thing about Smart that I got from his interview is exactly that he's humble, that he's ready. We got a little more about I know there was a comment a couple days ago about his recruiting. How is he going to do from the NBA to the college game, recruiting high school kids? We have a little bit on that as well. But the one thing I want to bring up, and this stood out to me the most through the whole press conference that he had today, was that even though he's had 22 years of pro coaching experience and he's played in the pros, was drafted by the Spurs, he continues to want to be a student of the game. Take a listen to this.
I said, if I'm going to look at college, what better place and better person to be around to grow into it? Take my ego off from all the years of coaching in the NBA and doing what I was able to do. Just come back and just be a student under Coach Musselman and his staff, and then learn and grow.
That's something you don't normally get, right? This guy has been around the highest level of basketball for a long time, coaching some of the best athletes we have ever seen. The Miami Heat. He was with the Miami Heat in the LeBron James days. And to hear him say that he wants to just learn and grow, and he used the word blueprint with Eric Musselman, that Eric Musselman went from the pros to college and has an exact blueprint that he wants to follow of how to make that transition into the college game. Is Aonix, is that how you say your name? Says, love my hogs. Thank you for putting the pronouncer in there, Aonix. Hopefully I'm saying that right. That is a crazy cool name. I've never actually seen that name before. That's pretty cool. Thank you for joining us. But he said a blueprint from Eric Musselman is what I want to follow. He's done it from going from a coach in the NBA to now a successful college coach and building that up, and to have him learn and grow every single day. That's going to be something that's really cool. And the aspect of how do you affect recruiting, we'll get to that in a little bit as well. But that's just a little taste of just the attitude that Keith Smart is bringing in. He's in California right now, isn't officially here in Arkansas with the team yet, but that will change very soon as the rounding out the coaching hires for Eric Musselman. Couldn't have picked a better guy, it seems like, for this position. And Smart brought up the fact that he was looking to get into college coaching and was talking with Eric Musselman a lot. And he went through the process kind of with Indiana University to see if he could jump into their college coaching staff. And when the opening came up, and he was always in contact with Eric Musselman, but just said there was never an opening. There was never the staff was full. There was no opportunity for me to join Arkansas. And then when the opportunity came, Eric Musselman came calling and asked if he wanted this job. And it was a pretty easy decision, in Keith Smart's words, to come to Eric Musselman's staff, rejoin this group, be around a lot of guys who have a great knowledge of the college game. The big thing about this position, Jimmy, welcome in. Thank you for tuning in as well. The big thing about this position was David Patrick leaving, being such a big recruiter in terms of just getting some of the best guys across the country to come to Arkansas. That was a big kind of thing that a lot of fans, a lot of you guys were wondering. As Melvin says, excited by the hiring of Coach Smart. Yeah, Melvin, I think you are. Now, the full press conference with Smart, before I keep rambling on about him, is on our website right now. I'll end up showing you guys that in just a few minutes of where you can find everything, because we have posted the full interview with Smart onto our website, nwahomepage.com. You can also just type in Pig Trail Nation and you can find it. Man, lost my train of thought. Oh, and I can't really speak today. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the Friday lagging around. Maybe I need a little more caffeine. I'm not sure. Did Coach Smart get a championship with Miami Aonics? He did not. He lost in 2014. I'm a Heat fan. Pat Riley grew up in my hometown of Schenectady, New York. So I've always loved the Heat. We, as a fan base and as a team, did not win in 2014, but I don't want to bring that up any further. We have other rings to talk about. But yeah, they didn't win that NBA Finals. Anyway, the big thing. Oh, you're a Heat fan too? That's awesome. The big thing was recruiting and how can you bring this? And I think the one thing that I brought up earlier this week is Eric Musselman said way back in the season that a lot of ADs that he was going from college coaching jobs were concerned about his recruiting ability going from the pros into the college game. How can you recruit high school kids if you've never really done it, you know? And I think that's one thing that I don't think ever was a question mark here with Keith Smart, because Eric Musselman provided the footprint of how to recruit kids. I mean, you look at the 4 transfers that they have brought in just this offseason, 4 of the best transfers on the market. Obviously, just adding Jackson Robinson from Texas A&M earlier this week, but having guys like Stanley Amude, Audis Tony from Pittsburgh, Chris Likes from the University of Miami, speaking of some Florida teams. And I think that's something that Keith Smart, and he brought up at this point of just his recruiting strategy. He's never really done it, but what he's going to bring to the table for Arkansas when he goes and visits high schoolers. If it lets me cue the video. Little slow today, but we'll get through it. Let's see.
Share this with other people. I say, for each of these young men that I'm going to come in contact with, every road that they're going to try to travel on, I've been on that road already. I can share with them from, not for me, in my case, wasn't recruited out of high school. Went off to junior college and got recruited from there, understanding that portion of it, going to college, graduating from college, getting drafted into the NBA, getting cut from the NBA, playing basketball overseas, all around the world. They're going to be on one of those roads that they're going to go on. And so I think me selling myself to them and what they're going to face as they move forward through life, I think that's part of the recruiting that angle that I will employ, because they're going to be there. They're going to go on those routes, and I can share my experience from each one of those that they're going to go on. What it's going to take to get into the NBA, that's where they all want to go. Every young athlete, he wants to get to the next level in any sport. And I think I can share my experience with a lot of these young men that I'm going to come in contact with, as well as their families.
A wealth of knowledge is what that brings. Exactly what he said. Every step of a career that someone might go on, this man has walked in those steps. Going from the JUCO route to college, obviously Barry brought up, you remember his shot in the national championship game, 1987, Indiana versus Syracuse. Syracuse being my alma mater. Keith Smart hit what is known as the shot with just like a second remaining to propel the Hoosiers over Syracuse in the 1987 national championship game. So you have a JUCO guy, goes to a huge school, wins an NCAA national championship, drafted into the NBA. Now, he played in the NBA, knows what it's like to get cut in the NBA, knows what it's like to play overseas, coach, knows what it's like to get let go as a coach. This man has done every single thing in the book when it comes to just an athletics career. And now starting a new journey as a college coach, just adding on to that resume and that wealth of knowledge. So that's huge. I mean, the one thing I brought up with David Patrick earlier last week, was the fact that he's seen it all too. You know, he's going to be a coach in the Olympics for Team USA or Team Australia as an assistant coach, and how much that affects recruiting for Arkansas, to have a guy who at the time, now he's at Oklahoma, was able to say, hey, I'm coaching against guys like LeBron and James Harden going to the Olympics. I know the international level, the pro level. And now you bring in a guy has 22 years of professional coaching experience, saying, I not only coached against LeBron, I coached LeBron, you know, and in Miami, I've coached some of the best players. I mean, in this video right here, and I'll pull it back up, you might see some players that you know, DeMarcus Cousins is in this. I always like to give a shout out to Jimmer Fredette because he's a New Yorker. But these are guys you're going to see on the bench of like, this guy has coached some of the biggest superstars in the NBA. And I think the biggest thing and the best thing I heard in this press conference was a coach being coachable. Keith Smart saying he wants to learn and grow under Eric Musselman, understand the college game. That is one of the coolest things that I heard from this press conference. You rarely see a coach being, or I don't say rarely see, but the willingness to learn after 22 years in the pros, that I think is rare. I think every coach wants to continue to learn, but when you've had the path that Keith Smart has had, to still want to be coachable is very admirable. Susan, how you doing? She said, I'm ready, freshman at UA when Super Sid was a senior, later went to the Final Four 2 years, Razorbacks forever. Yeah, I think, you know what, after an Elite Eight, Susan, they're building this team up right now to try and get to a Final Four once again. Tokyo 2021, says Dwayne. Yes, it's so weird to see that, right? Isn't it weird that it's technically still being called Tokyo 2020, even though it's going to be in 2021? Obviously we're NBC, so we're going to be showing that the Olympics. That's going to be really fun. Late July, into early August. I believe the dates are the 23rd through the August 8th. If off the top of my head, if I remember that right. Glenn saying, let's go recruit and hit the portal again, bring in a big man. Yeah, I mean, you got some size with Jalen Williams, but you lost a lot of size, right? Remember that Arkansas has two scholarships left, and maybe they're going to get Keith Smart on a Zoom call with some people. Who knows? Because you want to use that asset that he's going to be as quickly as you can. So as we wrap up, for those who are just joining us, we caught up with Keith Smart, the full interview, and I'm going to show that in a second. But let me just go quickly to baseball. Because obviously this is a huge thing tonight, right? We got to catch up with Keith Smart. Now we got some baseball to think about in just a couple of hours as Arkansas visits Tennessee in Knoxville. This game tonight, 5:30 Central Time on the SEC Network Plus. It's on the internet for this game. Tomorrow will be on SEC Network. But the big news after this game, Patrick Wicklander, as you can see at the bottom of your screen, taking the start for day one. But the big news out of this was released yesterday, and I don't know why my machine's being funky. Here we go. Baum Walker is going to be at full capacity for the Florida series, May 20th through the 22nd. Now, that is the last three-game series and last homestand of the regular season for Arkansas. Full capacity is 10,737 seats, 37 people, I should say, not seats. So that is being opened up. Arkansas Athletic Director Hunter Yurachek announced yesterday that Baum Walker is going to be at full capacity. Dwayne saying beat the Vols. Yeah, that's you wish that you could have them here. A top 5 matchup. You would get more than 10,000 people sitting waiting at the gates for that one. Yes, Aonix, what a great hire. Is true. Keith Smart, awesome hire. Go watch that full interview, and we'll pull that up in just a little bit. Actually, let's do that now, where you can find Keith Smart's full interview. And I have one other thing I want to bring up about baseball. But here's our Pig Trail Nation website. You can go nwahomepage.com. Some news we didn't touch on is this right here. Is Miriam Dowda signing with the Hogs, a Bentonville High School product, 5-star recruit, was committed to Baylor, signing today with the Hogs. Obviously, Baylor had some coaching changes. She is ranked by ESPN as the #1 center in the nation, 13th overall prospect by ESPN. A huge get for the Hogs, and they have 2 other 5-star incoming freshmen into next year's class. The big news I want to talk about is right here, and I want to pull this story up for you guys, is Division I Baseball Committee announces championship host sites, and let's scroll down a little bit here because you're going to like to see this name. Arkansas has been named a potential host site for the Division I baseball championships. You're talking about regionals and super regionals. So here are the 20 potential host sites, and you can see it says of the 20 selected sites, and I'm right here if you don't know where I am, the committee will choose 16 to host regional round games, and then 8 of those 16 regional sites will host super regionals. But the big news is that Arkansas has been named a potential host site, and this whole story is on our website right now, but that's the big news. And I know we had a question about that yesterday, was how those get selected. So Arkansas has been named a host site for the regionals and potential host site, right? They're going to narrow those 20 down to 16, and then they're going to narrow those 16 down to 8 for super regionals. So that's a huge couple of just big news out of baseball, is full capacity. And I know with the whole NCAA debacle, or I wouldn't say debacle, I'd more say controversy between the NCAA and the Arkansas legislation about transgender participation in sports. I know that these kind of regionals were up in the air a few months ago. So it looks like Arkansas, and when all is said and done, you're the #1 team in the nation right now. You're probably, I mean, 99.99% sure Arkansas is getting a regional here, right? It would look kind of weird to have the #1 team not have a regional tournament. The forecast next week looks so bad, says Dwayne. I haven't checked that, but I mean, if there's some doubleheaders that need to be played, Dwayne, I mean, we're no stranger to that, right? It seems to happen every single week. This might be the rare week where there isn't a doubleheader. I know we didn't have one last week as well, but it was very up in the air if we would. Curtis has a broom emoji. It's going to be tough to sweep the #4 team in the nation. We'll kind of see how they come out. Their first pitcher for Tennessee is really good. Chad Dallas has more than 80 strikeouts on the year. So that's going to be a very fun series. Tony Vitello, obviously a former Razorback assistant coach, now the head coach at Tennessee. He is, it's going to be fun to see him coaching the Volunteers there again. And seeing his team. We had a great interview with him and a story up on our website right now just about how he says he kind of owes this Tennessee coaching gig to Dave Van Horn in Arkansas. Says he wouldn't have been able to get this gig or be a candidate for this gig or sit in the seat that he is in if it was not for DVH and Arkansas. Madeline, thank you for joining us, saying love the baseball Hogs, Diamond Hogs in action today, 5:30 Central Time, SEC Network Plus. But everyone, that's going to wrap it up for me here. A lot of news being covered. We're going to cover way more of it on our shows. I'm going to be on the desk today, KNWA, the Fox stations, and as well as KARC if you're in the Little Rock area. 5:30, 6 p.m. is when we do our Pig Trail reports on NBC, 5:30 for our Fox station. So that's when you can get all this news and hear a little bit more about these players. And then obviously we're going to have highlights tonight from the baseball game if you can't catch it on SEC Network Plus. So thank you, everyone, so much for joining us. I appreciate it. Have a great weekend. And I'll try and see you one more time this weekend for another one of these Facebook Lives. We'll let you know when we are going live. We'll tweet it out. Everyone, have a great Friday.
Thanks for watching this Pig Trail Nation report.